SFJ 4x4 Studios presents
in my oversized four-wheel drive Jeep.
a Jeep podcast starring industry experts.
Pure monosity. What? Say that again.
With mad scientist Scott Brown,
Use my drill press as a sort of lathe.
our host Neil Simpson,
If one light goes out, they all go out.
filled with shenanigans.
We are really professional with Jeeps.
This is I Speak Jeep.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever, however you are joining us. This is the I Speak Jeep podcast. And after 3 or pushing 4 years, we still don't know how to use the countdown clock in our studio.
I think the batteries might be dead in the remote.
There is always something, and it doesn't matter whether it's our producer, the Italian Stallion, or it is the savage Davey Thompson. Neither of them know how to use the actual countdown timer in the clock or in the studio. I don't know. So here we are fighting with it.
Is he using the countdown timer when you guys do your YouTube
No,
videos?
he just fights with it. I mean, we've tried it, and
because I had it set to remember the time every week, and it hasn't been remembering occasionally.
He saw an exit.
He saw
strategy.
Jeff saw an
I'm
exit
wondering-
strategy.
I'm wondering if
saw
that
an
has
exit
something to do with
strategy.
why. Because I remember a while ago he played with settings and it was doing alarms at us.
Oh,
and-
I think that's all I'm going off of is from a while ago.
Oh, okay.
My name is Neil with SFJ 4x4 Simpson Family Jeeps, and I am in Grandma's Couch Studio where we can't figure out our clock to save our life.
Yeah.
And I'm joined, obviously, as I've already mentioned, the Italian Stallion, the producer, Jeff Chiaramonte.
Hello.
And I'm the mad scientist, Scott Brown.
And I love that we've got our winter wheeling. 'Tis the season to be wheeling.
Well, with
hoodies.
that negative wind chill we're supposed to be getting, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
there's a cold snap coming across much of the U.S. over the next week or so.
Did you get the emergency alert on Saturday?
I did.
I did not. I was out of the area, so because
was
of my
crazy.
proximity. Yeah, because I was out of the area, I actually didn't qualify. They didn't push it to my phone.
Oh,
Isn't that interesting?
yeah.
But if you want to hear about those weekend things and the craziness of everybody getting these, and why? Because my wife has a bit of a Jeep experience with her national weather advisory that happened on Saturday. Stay tuned through the outro credits for us to talk about our weekend foyers. For now, we're going to be talking about sound systems. We're going to be locked in on gladiators, but much of the information we'll be sharing with you is pertinent to Jeep production in the last 20 years. And that's a big word to say, 20 years, but
That is huge.
think about the fact that it is 2006, and quite frankly, the JK, if we go back in our way back time machine, the production of the JK 20 years ago would be starting to roll down, as certainly the engineer's paper trail line, but the factory line would be starting to produce JKs by in the next few months. 20 years ago.
You're trying to make my feelings be hurt here.
Yeah,
Right.
he
It's-
is.
It's something, right?
I'm just gonna read comments real quick, especially because Nate was not first today. He's not even in the comments yet.
Wah, wah, wah.
Daddy Jeep is first. He says, "Hey guys," and then we got Jaga Jeeper saying good morning. Jeannie saying hello. Everyone stay warm today. Billy Joe saying good morning, everyone. Jaga Jeeper saying I got stuck out in that squall on the way to Andover from Chardon. Good times. And Charles saying good morning from a cold Texas.
And that is
Now-
relative for so many of our
I was
southern
going to
customers.
say, he says cold Texas, but I was literally talking to my in-laws in Amarillo over the weekend, and it was 60 degrees on Sunday. So
Oh, I had a, I had a
Some of
great
that cold.
I don't know
conversation.
what part of Texas he's in. I know Texas is huge.
Rob
but-
and Teresa in Florida, regular listeners and obviously good supporters and bringing their Jeep to us and whatnot. Talking with them last week, I think it was 72 degrees.
and they were complaining it was cold.
A cold, a breezy 72.
Yeah, they had to get jackets.
Yes. I love it. And obviously, as this global podcast is, really nobody is as cold as Antarctica, and somebody there should be listening to this
All
podcast.
right, I will give Charles that it is 28 where he's at in Texas right now.
That's fair. That's actually
That's
pretty
really
darn
cold.
cold.
That's cold.
Yeah, I feel that.
But what's it going to be at 2 p.m. this afternoon? Let's be realistic. It's probably going to heat up to 60 degrees.
I don't think we're going to hit 28 today.
No.
That would be balmy. In the Midwest, we would have our shirts off and be barbecuing.
Midwest?
Uh-huh. I thought you would like that.
I did tell Kristen we're actually going to get some Midwest winds today and tomorrow with that -20 wind chill because when we lived in Iowa, -20 was a warm wind.
Nice.
It got cold out there.
Love it. Love it. Well, as we mentioned, we are going to be talking about sound systems. And I think there is a valuable enough transition here, or opportunity. It is certainly, as somebody who is a purveyor of old crappy Jeeps and obviously cut my teeth in old wind noise Jeeps, objectively, when the top is off, having a good sound system is imperative, right? And so your top is off, your windows are up, you're huddling by the heater as you're driving through that cold night chill.
I don't know what he's talking about.
No, you don't, because you're authentically a hardtop owner, even when you have, soft top equipped Jeeps. The turning and cranking that music up becomes a degree of therapy and escapism. To escape the misery of the coldness you're experiencing with the top.
There's warmth in the music because now you're belting out the song with it and you're grooving to it, so you're warming up a little bit.
100%. I'm with you.
Scott doesn't know what we're talking about.
No idea.
Especially because all that Scott listens to is oldies from the 30s to the 50s.
There's some good classics in there. I'll give him that. But
I do.
When Scott and I first met, he listened to like super heavy stuff and alt rock music, and
Still do.
I think your stereo says otherwise.
I love that a song from like Linkin Park or Disturbed or any of these heavy metal ones, and he's just like, those are pretty lyrics.
I think that was specifically over Korn.
Korn? That's even better.
Nope.
It wasn't over
I'm
Korn.
not correcting you guys. You have to keep guessing.
Sublime.
Who was no. It was the other folks who have. Oh, it was the Throat Singers. La 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 la. It was the Throat Singers. It was the Norse or whatever.
Nope.
It was.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
I don't believe him until he tells us now.
All right. Anywho, so we're gonna be unpacking that. And this was actually at a loose. We were kind of throwing around a couple ideas, and we had a customer
Yeah.
who was in, and Jeff kind of off the cuff asked him and said, why don't you talk about this kind of stuff? And
I literally said, hey, I hate to put you on the spot, but we don't have a topic for our podcast on Monday. What would you like us to talk about? And he goes, oh, that is on the spot. I don't know if I can come up with anything. And then promptly, like within seconds goes, but I'd love to know more about sound systems.
he did without
I was like, all right, well, that's our
without
topic.
missing a beat. Also, Rob Morgan has told me the Throat Singers are the Who, not the Who of the previous.
Not WHO.
Right.
The HU.
The HU.
Which he's correct, but that is not who. I said
this is who's on first and what's on second now.
Right.
This has become incredibly confusing for any listeners at home, and
listeners,
sorry.
I'm confused.
Greg would be able to just pop
He
it
would.
off.
That's
Because
right.
he remembers that moment. I finds joy in it, but it was Slipknot.
I wanted to say they had masks on. And then I wanted to say they had
There
masks
you go,
on.
folks.
You were today's years old when you compared the HU Who with Slipknot.
But I remember the Throat Singers first immediately came out. Your wife was very enamored with them as well.
We do like them.
Yeah. Okay. So when you are not listening to this music, because every time I get into your Jeep, you're listening to the soft oldies. How do we go about? How do we go about as a business and individuals evaluating the sound systems produced in the last 20 years? And I want to give credit where credit's due, and I want to say that the mothership has, as I'm biased, I need everybody to know that. I believe that the mothership does. Okay, first and foremost, I suppose I need to set the stage. I believe that original equipment manufacturing, OEM, is an immovable boulder in a uphill battle. Okay?
Well, I mean, and it makes me sad to say that we're going to talk 2 seconds about vintage radios and it's JKs we're talking about. But something that a lot of people don't know. We literally had a phone call while you guys were on the American Hustle. So that's why I feel like this is pertinent. For those that don't know, JKs are VIN locked on the radios.
Yes, they are.
If you go and your buddies upgraded and got the stereo sitting on the shelf because you didn't want to throw things away, and you go and put it in your Jeep, the Jeep will say no.
Yep.
You do not pass go, do not collect $200. You have to have a 4-pin code.
Yes.
Which back in the day you had to go to the dealership and get, and you had to prove ownership and all this other stuff. And you want to be like, hey, this radio isn't good enough for all this bull crap.
I'm gonna go a step further. Back in the day, depending on the reputation of the shop could also get that PIN number.
Depends. Yeah.
It didn't have to necessarily be the
Well, we
dealer.
used to get the PIN number all the time.
Correct.
That's just call a spade a spade.
Now it's locked, sealed, under key, signed 20 different confidentiality agreements, and you might get a hint at what that number is.
And we're getting to the age where, honestly, they're not going to have that information nor care about the information.
Right.
The Jeep still will, though. So, and JK radios suck. It's terrible. The CD changers would break. All kinds of stuff would happen.
I love that he went to
into the
CD
void.
changer.
And I am one of those people that was weird, and I like to upgrade my stereo in my Jeep to the best that model had. Like when I had my LJ, I put the 6-disc CD changer radio in the dash, and of course it was a TJ, so it was like, cool, I work.
Right.
On my JK, I went from the 2-knob radio. It wasn't the bass radio, but it was like the next one up, to the GPS equipped radio. Had to, pat my head, jump up and down.
It was the start of the Uconnect system.
Yeah. And it was terrible. And then for them on, my Jeep, as far as like Cirrus and all that was concerned, was a different Jeep. The VIN number they showed was different. The year was different, which blows my mind that was such a challenge.
Right.
So because of that, I've actually looked into what would it take to upgrade my JT's radio. And someone somewhere is listening. And if you go and you spend all the dollars and you go to the dealership and you go, I want the best radio I can get. So on my truck, again, it's not the bass like Jeff has.
Right.
But it would be, you're looking to upgrade to the 8.4 display.
If I wanted to go to the 8.4 and I bought that from the dealership, I could pull it out of the box in the parking lot, take my dash apart, plug it in, and boom, it'll work.
Right.
But it then that new unit then remembers the Jeep from there on, if I understand it correctly. Might be wrong, might be right. I don't know. I haven't actually done it because I'm cheap.
And that radio upgrade is not.
And that radio upgrade is not. And in
that formal fashion.
And mine isn't terrible.
Right.
So therefore, if I was in Jeff's shoes, I would have upgraded like 14 years ago.
Well, so and to piggyback and kind of go back to where my sentiment was with the OEM being a immovable boulder in an uphill battle, I do think that they are responsive to the community in continuing to improve sound systems. Every single model, they do care about that, right? Yes. And they do care, and they, as we've always said, they test bed in other models. So the Grand Cherokee always gets like a premium sound system, and then eventually we see it roll out into our more utilitarian models. So with that said, we've seen over the years this dance. It's kind of this romance. Think about like a rom-com where there's a room of dancers, and there's this kind of I guess as we're close enough to Valentine's Day, there's this love that you can't have, and that's how I feel like Stellantis is with Alpine. They
absolutely
dance with Alpine and then like send them back off to the corner, and then dance with Alpine and send the next developer and send them off.
They're the other woman though. They don't want to actually say they're with Alpine.
Correct.
They will not speak.
It's a masquerade ball.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They can only dance with them when
the mistress.
Right. With the mask on.
I just got to jump back to the comments real quick. We had Red jump in, so he said, "What's up?" We had Leslie say, "Good morning." Bill said he carried around his Alpine so it doesn't get stolen. but not the faceplate. The whole thing.
That's right. Just
If you
pulls the
were-
whole.
That was
If
the
you
thing.
were around for the faceplate thing, you'll understand that. And then you got Daddy Jeep saying, "Wait, you guys have radios?" Well, I understand that you may have disabled one this weekend, so we'll have to talk about that. And then you got Giaga Jeeper saying, "My JK radio is junk. JT radio is pretty nice. No comparison at all."
Yep.
Diana said, "Happy Monday." And then Tony said, you need the radio to drown out all the concerning noises.
Which, PSA, we do not recommend you just turning up the radio louder, but we do know that the vast majority of average vehicle owners do repair their vehicle that way by just turning that radio up.
Oh, and Charles put CarPlay in the 95.
Okay.
That's a upgrade.
That's a big upgrade. And
Yeah.
and I don't know that we're going to exactly, touch base on that, but I do think that Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is a big part of today's general consumer mindset.
It's a selling point on radios. I mean, they literally big bold marketing comes with CarPlay, comes with Android Auto.
I do
Agreed.
feel a little bit like a battered person though, because the JKU Connect was terrible compared to my wife's just slightly newer Subaru at the time. And now, again, she has a slightly newer Subaru, and she gets in, and her phone and her radio are just friends, and you don't have to hook up any cords.
Yes.
And you can use Android Auto and see where you're going.
I'm going to go. Go ahead.
And now I have a newer phone, and my phone actually comes up and says, "Hey, I see you have Android Auto, but I'm not actually going to talk to it without hooking up a cord."
And so here's the thing. I'm going to go back to Rob's statement and be like, wait, you guys have radios?
Yeah.
Because I think that part of that immovable object is at its highest level. Jeep is still not concerned with those kind of those nuanced little attributes that a more luxury auto manufacturer does concern themselves
We're like
with.
the middle child. We get all the hand downs from the grand. The poor Compass and Patriot would-be owners get the hand me downs from the Wrangler.
Sure.
But we're always behind at least 10 years.
But I think that there's an argument to be made to say that the auto manufacturer themselves, right? Themselves. And when they tiptoe into luxury brand identity, enter the Wagoneer, they fall absolutely flat on their face.
Absolutely.
I've been doing a bunch of research and homework for an upcoming YouTube video regarding why buying vehicles right now and not selling and so on and so forth. And so I really think that this is a top-down problem from the brand itself, whereas we certainly know some import manufacturers, certainly the Asian markets, who are highly tech integrated with high functionality. And we as Stellantis have absolutely no Asian market influence. And we also don't have the upper end European influence per se, right? We're not lighting the world on fire with Fiat and Renault back in the day.
Right.
So regardless, I do think in the grand scheme of single den and the double den and the den and a half garbage that we had in the 90s, the 80s, the 90s, if we stay away from that contextualization that Scott and I love to get into, that stuff was the worst.
Yes.
And other than the fact that it was easy to rip out and put in your own cobbed
While
up.
driving down the road, your buddy's changing out the head unit.
Greg tells that story all the time.
I may have installed a stereo in our college parking lot while waiting for my wife to come out of
I've
class.
absolutely done it. Greg's
doubt.
done it. It was so easy back then.
Yeah.
Correct.
Not anymore.
And
They're too
yet,
integrated now.
correct. And yet at that time, it still sucked. The power through the wires, the speakers themselves. We really did have to approach the whole stereo system. Now we can actually just get into the head unit, and we just do the head unit and create some vast improvements to the inner system. So what are some of those things that we've been doing? And I'm going to pull no punches, and I'm going to say that we are a heavy Alpine business.
Yes.
I just
That's because
I'll
Not
just
to
put
say-
that out in front
not
of
to
everybody.
say that Alpine's the only system that works, but it works the best for integration in Jeep.
because that's what they used originally. It just didn't tell you. And that way they had sort of a backdoor information, and they're already used to seeing each other with the mask on. So when the mask comes off,
and even if there is some dissenters out there who are like, well, it's not exactly Alpine, blah blah blah. You know what? There is a degree of relativity of at a certain level behind closed doors of engineers who are shaking hands and sharing information.
Yes.
And
Alpine plays that golf game.
that is correct. That is absolutely correct. It's not Stinger. It's not Insane Audio. Okay, there's just nothing you can tell me to that's irrefutable conversation information.
Yep.
Now, does Stinger make a nicely integrated stereo?
Yeah.
It does. Did Insane Audio come on strong under the JK namesake? Absolutely. And they did have insider information. I promise you that. That's how they came and it kind of blew up under the JK.
And in that same regard, DS18 is another one that has made a big name in Jeep.
yeah, but they've had to do a little bit of reverse engineering.
Correct.
And
DS18 does not have a head unit that integrates in any capacity like the three that I just mentioned.
Correct.
Again, these are lines in sands that cannot be crossed.
Correct.
Okay.
And the newer the Jeep, the more counseling the Jeep needs when you go to change the head unit, so that it feels good about it and it actually works.
DS18 can, and I'm sorry, I just want to, American bass or American soundbar, DS18, they can do stereo infrastructure, excuse me, not stereo,
Speakers,
speaker
amps.
infrastructure. Correct. Thank you. Speaker, amp, pods, all that kind of stuff. That's awesome. We need them to do that because realistically, Alpine cares a lot about their stereos and not a lot and speaker quality, but not a lot about how you're going to fit it into your vehicle.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the minutia, right? Yeah, they've got a little pod this and you can replace the speakers that.
Why would
blah.
you want to put a sub in it?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and I love it reminds me a lot of like Dana Spicer, okay?
Yes.
Dana Spicer knows that they are the king of the hill.
Yep.
And they have the equity and the building. We've seen the torture tests. We know what they do. They have 100 years worth of business model to pull upon.
Right.
But sometimes they're like, well, why would you want to do that?
Correct.
Like-
and we're thankful for, our friend Zach, who's at, the top end of his department over there going, no, we need these beefy axles. This is what the industry wants to hear. This is what they want to do. But there was a period of time 20 some years ago where they were a vacuum from the market, and Yukon was this no-name, derivative of Randy's Ring and Pinion, who was able to become the gear and axle gurus.
Yep.
Simply because Dana Spicer didn't dirty their hands with the aftermarket of sorts.
Yep.
And so enter the relationship. Alpine, Dana being of similar capacity at their heyday, and Yukon, Randy's Ring and Pinion, and say DS18 at their heyday. And that's the extent of where that comparison goes.
You know,
away, right?
really
'Cause-
how you can tell on the businesses like that? You go on their website and you go, how easy can I find information? Mm-hmm. If they're kind of old and my way is the way, and that, like Dana up until, I'm going to say 5 years ago, would give you a hand catalog.
Yes.
Now, some old gurus are like, heck yeah,
Yes.
I love my paper catalog. That's
Yes.
great.
Yes.
But every year you got to get a new catalog because stuff,
Yeah,
you gotta
or you're
call.
you're using a catalog from 2014.
Yeah.
I literally used the other
and you
day.
gotta
There's
call.
times where they send you the new catalog, but there's already data in it that's wrong or outdated.
Yep. So it's just, it doesn't work well in our fast-paced world. And someone is missing the boats saying, well, why in the world would you want anything but a paper catalog? Mm-hmm. I feel that way a little bit with Alpine as well. You go to their websites and be like, oh, this is the company. This is how we do things. We're not telling you anything else.
You buy this restyle package.
Yes.
Which is where, which is
It's
what they
great.
came to the table with. They said, because we're so cumbersome to navigate, hence the ultimate axle package with Dana.
Yep.
You're going to do this. You're going to do it in the complete fashion in which we provide you that
Says for,
information.
Just like the ultimate Dana Axle program, if you, again, JK, our classic JKs.
Almost vintage at this point, folks.
You get your ultimate axle, you take it out of the box, you're all excited, and you go, sweet. And you go, what in the world is this stabilizer bracket for?
Yes.
And why do I have it? Well, it's no different with the Alpine. You get it, you get out of the box, and go, oh, well, I need this cord.
There's literally a packet of wires that every time I do an install on a JK for an Alpine, I just grab this packet and throw it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't belong in the Jeep.
Yes. It's just there to make you wonder why it's there.
It's there because there is other applications that you could use it for. But in a standard application, it's not required, and it literally just needs to be tossed.
The brass tacks of it is it just doesn't make it easy for Joe Average in his garage to do it anymore. You can't sit in the parking lot of your local community college and put your stereo in.
Grab the install kit, and you're just changing out a wire plug harness and teeing it in, and you're done.
And as we kind of continue to contextualize the culture around these products, and we really do got to get back onto the product itself, it is reminiscent of my own experience, and what kind of put SFJ on the map was I looked at AutoZone specifically, and you could walk into AutoZone and you'd say, I have a 97 Wrangler and I need a U-joint.
Auto or stick.
4-cylinder, 6-cylinder.
Yeah.
But besides that point, they would relatively then produce a U-joint across the counter.
Yep.
Yes.
8 times out of 10, it's the correct part. 8 times out of 10.
Unless you have a 95.
No doubt, right? But they would produce this part. You didn't really have to know the specialized information about that specific part. Now, if you were at a driveline shop, you're going to go in, you're going to say, hey, I have a 97 Jeep. They're going to go, okay, where's the drive shaft? Let me measure it with my,
Do you have a 1310? Do you have a 13?
Right. And so ultimately, objectively, my goal specifically was to break down and make selling this technically heavy components or parts, which were better, make it easier for the average consumer to consume it. Right. And that's ultimately one of the things that put our business on the map originally. And I think that's where DS18 and Stinger and maybe a American Soundbar excel in going, hey, we're going to make it easy for you.
Yes.
And as you were bringing up the website conversation and the catalog conversation, whereas there are brands that are like, well, we make the best possible product and you might need to use it in these 3 finite situations.
Yep.
And so we need to now make it more convoluted to buy it from us.
Yes.
And so Alpine being one of them. Now, we've spent a lot of time on that. I want to then also share that Uconnect and Chrysler fall into that category as well.
Oh, so much.
It's highly technical and specific to these outlying
And there's a
specificity.
Uconnect module that if you're upgrading, depending on what you're using to upgrade, you may have to disconnect that Uconnect module. And if you don't, your phone won't pair like Scott experiences. But that isn't why you're experiencing it.
Yeah.
That's one of those situations.
There's a lot of if this, then that stuff that just doesn't make it easy to digest.
And before, you could literally just pop out the head unit, put a new head unit in, and everything works. Now, you have to program the head units. You have to make them compatible with the vehicle. You have to tell it, hey, does it have steering wheel controls? Does it have volume buttons? Does it have phone controls?
Yep. Does it have a sub?
Do you want to change what these buttons do? Do you want the buttons to do this instead of that?
Yes. Right.
And then do you have an amp? Do you have a powered sub? Do you have any of these extra things? There's a situation where if you have some of these, you actually reverse the wires on the speakers. Otherwise, it won't work.
Yep. And again, and I think it's always kind of been the case, at least with the TJ and newer, if you have factory upgraded sound, if you have like the best sound they thought they could give you in that model year, it's harder for you to upgrade aftermarket wise. Less and less as you go older, but like I know we dealt with a Gladiator, had basically the top of the line sound system, had the 8.4, had a sub, had an amp, had the upgraded speakers as far as they were concerned.
Right.
And it was literally the concept of, well, why would you want to replace this? Mm-hmm. And they made it harder to do that. Where doing like your truck is probably easier because, assessed for the head unit size, because the truck just doesn't care as much.
So I would love to say that that's true, but it's not. The truck still cares because it still has some of those modules and everything and the integration.
It's just more to click buttons when it has more.
Well, and I think that
and mine does have all the steering wheel controls, so all of that has to get programmed in.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can't, like, as part of that programming, you're not programming it on the head unit. There's a separate module that you need a computer with internet access so you can program all of this on there, and it flashes that module. Then you have to connect that module to the head unit and hope that those two communicate well. Then you plug it into the Jeep and hope that it communicates well there.
Right,
It's
'cause
a multi-step process.
I think it's important in the way that I recognize it is that the Jeeps, our modern Jeeps, since the middle of the JK, have a central nervous system that is capable of doing. It's capable of going 5 miles per hour, or it's capable of going 100 miles per hour. And Jeffrey's Jeep, as an example, having a base model interior package and sound package, is running at 5 miles per hour. However, with a few tweaks, it can run at 100 miles per hour just the same, because the central nervous system is the same. It is shared. They're not changing out those factors as the vehicle progresses down the assembly line. It literally has to do with a few added modules and the programming of some blank software. Meaning, we back in the JK used to add a rear windshield wiper to a hardtop equipped JK. So if you bought a soft top JK from the factory, you lacked a button in the center console.
Button and a special switch on the stock.
On the multifunction switch.
Change those, and you literally got a wiring kit, and it would say, find this plug, take the lock out of it, insert this wire in pin cavity blah, and then you're basically patching the harness so it's like a factory hardtop Jeep.
Yep.
And then you had to have it flashed.
You had to go to the dealer and have them use the Star network.
And tell it that it had a rear wiper. Otherwise, it would not park. It would just keep wiping.
And so that central nervous system, with the addition of a multifunction switch, a hard toggle, and basically a single wire, now all of a sudden can be capable of a rear windshield wiper.
And that's actually a good example too of what we previously said. They then updated that kit so that you didn't have to have it flashed anymore, but now it is a more standalone on its own stuff. So basically now, instead of it integrating into the Jeep, you're just adding an accessory. It's more like you put a light on your pillar, and now you have a separate switch, separate wiring, and a separate relay. That's what they basically went to.
Correct. You're bypassing that central nervous system.
Right. Yes.
Now, you don't have, and one of the things that we really enjoyed as a business is, and I've said this once, I'll say it 100 times, the thing that makes me the proudest is that if after we're done with a service, you didn't know that we were ever in your vehicle, I couldn't be happier, right? Otherwise disclosed.
It's so funny you say that, because with the restyles, especially on the JKs, we literally cut a section of your dash out. We remove your dash, we cut a section off, throw it away, and put the restyle package in. And as part of that, it looks factory.
100%. And that's a great segue back into what we do with Gladiator and JL sound systems of sorts. And objectively, why we choose, and again, this is not sponsored by Alpine, nor is it any specific endorsement of their product line. Our objective is this quality, fit, and finish. Those single din, double din, din and a half radios that we could change in a college parking lot, or as we rode down the road, oftentimes would be a little loosey-goosey, or a screw would protrude a little too far from this direction.
Did you guys have friends in high school that too had a head unit sitting on the transmission tunnel, sort of held up with some bricks or blocks of wood, and if you took a corner too fast, it ended up in the passenger side?
Oh, absolutely.
I had friends that had that. Yes.
It was. I remember they would, or it was a double din or a din and a half, and they just had like a cattywampus bracket, and then you had these cavernous holes above and below it, and you could just see into the dash.
Yeah.
And And as a teenager, it's whatever, right? But
there was absolutely the friends that literally cut out the dash, and it's just look a beaver chewed on it,
Yes.
so that there was enough room for that double din to fit.
yes. So, by today's modern standards, and what I would say is that there was a population, and I'm not saying it was a majority, but there was a population, and I would say that it was a pretty healthy number. I might even say it's 45% of people were like, hey, you know what? It's an upgrade over the single din or double din that stopped working. GM's had a horrible experience where their radio stuff would just jank out because the stereo sucks so bad. And you were just like, hey, you know what? I'm happy I've got a stereo, and now it's got a little blinky LCD screen.
Dolphins.
Yeah.
The dolphins diving,
Yeah.
or it blacked out,
Oh, man.
or it was detachable, and Bill
Yeah.
McWilliams' conversation.
Then the
didn't want it
motorized
stolen.
ones that would come down for the CD.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we were just happy to have something. I would gather to say it was 45%. And if you had cavernous view into the dash, or it was sitting on a pile of bricks, you
didn't
you
care.
were
You had
tolerant.
music.
That's not today's market as a whole. I would say that the pendulum has shifted to say that 80% of people want a degree of fit and finish out of their product.
Charles said it best. Teens today don't know how to jerry rig a stereo system.
But it's not just
they
teens,
can't.
too, right?
They can't.
Well,
see, what
the
happened-
the vehicles are not conducive of the jerry rigging.
Right.
Right?
Well, that too. And we grew up watching Exhibit, putting PS2s and built-ins and TVs and all that stuff. And we're like, hey, that's cool. I wish I didn't have bricks holding my stereo up. I want to do that better. So now we're older, we're wiser, got a little bit of money to do it with. We don't want to do the brick stuff no more. We want it to look
Correct.
seamless, integrate. We want our phones to be friends with our vehicles.
Right.
Tony in the comments, I've definitely never sheet metal screwed a double din into an S10 in high school. I'm sorry, that just hit real hard because I absolutely
Sure you
seen
did.
that done.
Sure you didn't. Right? Sure you didn't. Asking for a friend.
Absolutely.
So we have this cultural experience, and the conversation is not just about the head unit anymore, though we've spent a swath of today's talking points on the head units itself and the high degree of integration that not only do we desire as a cultural piece of auto enthusiasts, but that the central nervous system of the vehicles require for a degree of functionality. There was a time, and it started with the JK, that if it had the premium sound package, the sub package, we would do a double din replacement. We used a lot of DS18 initially. I love them as a audio supplier company. And it flat out wouldn't work. It wouldn't work because of the modules that Jeffrey has mentioned, Scott and Jeffrey have mentioned, for the premium sound package for the amp. Just no sound would come out of the speakers.
Yep.
None bit. We could have it hooked up 100%. We would have to buy basically a converter. It was a pack module.
Yep.
Put the pack module in line. Now all of a sudden, boom, we have sound basically.
Yeah,
It's
basically
ba-
had
you know,
to tell it that it had this so that it would talk the language.
And we're still finding, even with the JKs with the Alpine, where it's got the Maestro module that you need, that if we're doing accessory amps and accessory speakers, that sometimes we still need yet another pack module to help tell the Jeep that it's okay to
very
supply
touch
this.
and go.
Right. And that is a degree of kind of helping the Jeep understand a bit of a different language. It's almost like having an interpreter in the Jeep itself. This is, again, the functionality of the Jeep and nervous system kind of remains unchanged model to model.
Right.
But the language it's speaking from those aftermarket accessories to then how it plays through the Jeep. Now, as we really kind of have to lock in on the Gladiator conversation of the JL, and I think it's valuable to touch on the JK, because I know we have a number of our Jeep family who are big 12-volt accessory fans. The challenge with 12-volt accessories and modern vehicles is the high electrical sensitivity of that vehicle itself.
Right.
And Charles, I think, hits on it pretty he doesn't know that he's hitting on it because I know he's not into the modern vehicles like some of our other customers. But he mentions listening to an alternator through the speakers.
Yep.
The high electrical sensitivity of the JK through the JLJT series makes it imperative that your hookups don't disrupt the functioning properties of the electrical load sensitivity of your vehicle. And that's a big thing to say, that your 12-volt accessories screw up how your Jeep works.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can't just add stuff like we used to with our crappy single
You
in
can't just
metals,
twist the wires together and put duct tape on them.
Bad news bears. Bad news
We're
bears,
finding
right?
more and more of the sensitivity of that, and we are soldering connections where we used to use crimp connections, and just because of the sensitivity in the electronics. And with the dual battery systems of the JLJT platform, you're even more sensitive to those currents and more involved.
And fun PSA, don't lose your thoughts. Don't even listen to me if you have to. Fun PSA, little battery is to retain electrical sensitivity in the off state. Big battery is to restart the vehicle each and every time you either hit the key or the vehicle releases at the stop-start system.
And they work together as a team.
Yes.
So if you replace one, replace both.
And you can eliminate the little guy, but our current recommendation is you don't. I also, the NPSA, do you remember what you were about to say? Go.
So another thing that's important and relevant in our topic is with JTs and JLs is trying to get to your speakers is a whole nother ball game. If you thought, back in the day, you got your TJ, you got your Phillips out, you took your solo speaker grill off. Oh, look, there's a speaker. Hey, it has screws on it. And yeah, we had some weird sizes and a little can they were in, and you had to get a bracket and all that kind of stuff. That was a walk in the park compared to that. Now things are assembled in stages.
In a jigsaw puzzle.
And the speakers
buried.
are like step 2. And trying to get them out at step F is interesting.
And I, that kind of, I'm stuck on this integration in the manner in which you add sound system and you add 12-volt accessories. And what you have to do is you have to circumvent, you have to go around the jigsaw puzzle, both the electronic jigsaw puzzle and the physical jigsaw puzzle, or utilizing a product that's been engineered to integrate. So if you're not using an expensive, typically it's expensive, integrated product, then you have to go around it. Go ahead.
And I want to jump to the comments. Jeannie said, I remember the days when the converter was bigger than the radio.
I love that Jeannie is over here. So she is making references of some of her vintage world, the stuff from the 40s. The historic perspective. And I don't know if Scott can read it, but it's been great so far.
Oh, I've been loving it. I haven't been able to read all the comments. But I do want to point out that what's interesting about that perspective is even though with technology, things have gotten smaller, they're making things more compact because they're fitting more into the dashes of the JLJTs. The integration modules that are required of the JLJT because of how advanced they are compared to what we're used to, there's added modules and more of that jigsaw puzzling. There's a whole new module in the JLJT platform that wasn't in the JK platform when you upgrade, especially with the Alpine.
Yes.
So you've got your head unit, you've got another metal box, you got another module over here, and where do you put it all?
You got to stuff it all in.
And not to mention the fact that the head unit actually isn't in the center of the dash where you think it is when you upgrade on a JLJT.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets moved over below the steering wheel.
Correct.
Which if you're like my truck and you have a inverter there, now you have a lot of stuff in a very small package.
The new technology, the display screen is separate of itself. That's its own little computer screen. Much like an old desktop computer where you've got a monitor and a tower. That is how the new radios work.
Right. It's just a display screen, and then the actual computer, if you will, is elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I think we got to keep moving. And we've been on the technical and integration and the head unit side. I think we do need to talk about stuffing 10 pounds into a 5-pound sack that is our Jeep models, especially if we want to continue to use them off-road. We really haven't talked exactly about that, but I think it's pertinent to mention. Stop putting amps on the floor of your Jeep. You want to see me go unhinged on a regular basis? Stop If you go and you pay for a 12-volt company to install a sound system, I don't care if they're an off-road shop, and they put your amp on the floor of your Jeep, get your money back.
Under the seat where it gets wet all the time?
All the time. Do you know how many amps we remove from the floor of customers' Jeeps?
Because they're fried from being wet.
Yeah, only time I can think of that we've actually done that was in the CJ5. We just simply didn't have anywhere but that to do that. And we literally had a council session over it. And then we brought in the customer and we're like, listen, this is our option. This is what we can do for you. But now you have responsibility because now it is where it's in its threatened
It's in the
spot.
danger zone.
It's in the danger zone. And therefore you have to not leave your Jeep out to become an aquarium. And he was, okay, I'm here for it. Other than that, it's not okay.
Yeah, we have literally built surrounds for amps to help protect them better, with the idea that they're still in danger zones, but not on the floor.
There are a couple marine grade sealed units. Are you going to get that awesome bass pounding, feel it in your chest experience? Absolutely not.
And thankfully, I remember when, you had a cutting board size amp. Mm-hmm. And if you needed two, now you have two cutting boards in the back of your vehicle. And now about the size of my fist is a pretty good, hot amp.
Yes.
This is crazy. So they've gotten a lot smaller. That
technology has improved vastly.
You can literally hide them behind the dash. You can hide them, behind the receipts.
Yep.
It's crazy. You don't the need to actually put it on the floor is less and less as that.
Right. And I want to stay away from some of that, the highly technical stuff, because we've already done a lot of this program, today's episode on it, but we've run into amp functionality. And again, that's not a beautiful scenario either, because we've had stereo systems just flat out stop because we've added amps to them.
Yep.
JT stereo systems, JL stereo systems. We've had them reset themselves for whatever reason. There's again, that load sensitivity is imperative to consider when adding 12-volt and sound accessories to your modern vehicles.
Not to mention that just because the amp says it can go that high doesn't mean your speakers can, doesn't mean that your head unit can. So you can overload a circuit real fast by not setting the parameters correctly, by not measuring the RMS and making sure that matches across the system. Yeah. There's a lot of extra factors in it that most people don't consider.
It isn't going to Walmart anymore at 11:30 and deciding, this is a speaker they have, I'll make it fit, getting out your 10 snips, shoving it in a hole,
right?
And the heck with the RMS and the rating and that kind of stuff.
Not to mention Walmart's not open at 11:30 anymore.
I know.
Wow.
So
different.
So outside of the marine grade componentry that I would recommend if you are in an off-road or a high-risk environment.
I have a 2-second vent.
Okay.
Why does all marine grade electronics have to be white?
White.
Why?
Why? It does. I mean, it was the attempt to differentiate from the manufacturing standpoint that I think it has more to do with the boating folks than it does us.
Give me a logo that says I'm marine grade.
Correct. Give me a little emblem.
I hate white speakers.
And white head units back in the day.
I'd argue that that's not so much the case anymore, but yes, I understand.
Right, you get the trigger, the trigger joke.
And because you mentioned Walmart closing at 11:30 or 11 now, it made me also realize one of the other things that was really big on radios for vehicles was Circuit City.
And you mean really big on screwing them up constantly?
Absolutely,
that too.
But you used to be able to walk into a Circuit City and just a wall of stereo options, and you could just be like, "Oh, I want that one."
Yeah.
And here's the matching kit for your vehicle to make that one work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do want to address. I mean, our intention is not to dissuade anybody from changing their sound systems, but to understand that it is not the simplistic process that we once knew and took for granted.
It's very rewarding when done correctly.
It is.
You can have a really awesome system. We have a JL UR that is just amazing.
It's not just the volume, but the clarity.
Yes.
And that's something that in-house we care a lot about. You can make any system loud,
Yes.
but can you make it clear?
Yep.
And we had the opportunity. I jump on that. We had the opportunity. We had identical twins. Basically, we were asked to add the stereo system to one, and then the individual had the vehicle. They're a distance customer of ours. They took it to a 12-volt shop. Independently, they took the other Jeep, both 2023 Gladiators, and basically had the identical components added to the vehicle. We basically built the build sheet ourselves. We did the work of the one while it was here in our possession. And that customer took a similar build sheet, took it to another 12-volt shop because, again, he was further away, and he asked them to do the install. So we have these identical twins with largely identical parts.
Yep.
And
Completely different style of install.
Completely different style of install.
Spoiler alert, we had to redo one.
Yep. Spoiler alert, we got paid to do the install all over again.
On the twin that went somewhere else.
And and then the clarity of the sound output, to your, kind of credit of statement, was really, really loud, but it was distorted and speakers were popping, and it's not a sustainable sound quality or function, because eventually it will blow amps and speakers.
It made good equipment sound bad.
And in today's world, you don't want to be changing speakers all the time. So
because of that jigsaw puzzle conversation.
You need to make sure they are doing what they're supposed to do and last.
Right. And it's to mention, we have multiple high-end new model vehicles under our belt regarding these improvements, and kind of have a proven experience. We also, since we only touch Jeeps, see lots and lots of vehicles that have gone, either DIYers have done the service or they've gone elsewhere for these types of additions to their vehicle. And so that's the perspective we're speaking from. If I can do some kind of continued kind of summation takeaways as we try to keep this train on the tracks. By today's standards, we have a lot more plastic enclosures with appropriately weather-rated speakers and function for those enclosures.
Yes.
Gone are the days of MDF and thin interior carpet.
Yeah.
Okay. Gone are the days that you should ever allow somebody to put an amp on the floor of a Jeep. That's just a big no-no. Gone are the days of big cumbersome boxes that are taking up valuable interior space.
And gone are the days where you would just rattle dishes off walls because you thought that was cool, or the air blowing you in the face from the port. That was cool.
I will say, you say gone are the days. However, if you're in a Gladiator and you want a good subsystem, it is a big box going under the seat.
It's not an MDF box.
But it's not MDF.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, and so that, and it's also, and I don't know that you exactly have this perspective. I'm speaking from the experience.
Where you
back
open
in
the trunk and it's the entire box?
Well, YJs. No, yes and no. Yeah. I mean, that's fair, but YJs, YJs specific, CJs and YJs. We used to have a 6x9 box that was a shoebox, basically a shoebox with a little angle. It went on the fender wells in the back.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the little
depends
bit
on
of
how
space.
much money you had. If you were poor, you went to Walmart and they had like a universal wedge box.
Yep.
And you tech screwed that through, and then it fell apart because it was MDF.
Right.
If you had a little bit of coin, you bought the ones that were made to go on the front.
Yes,
between
pods,
the roll bar,
between the roll bar and the wheel well. Oh.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that coin.
No.
So I had the MDF boxes on the fender wells, and then the whole back, which would have been this ideal usable space for, I don't know, anything.
Yeah.
I thought it was most pertinent to put a plywood box, just didn't even work with MDF in that regard. A plywood box with 210s behind the seat. And so any usable interior space was now toast.
Right.
See, I was going to the other kid that was in woodworking class, and it was like, hey, want to make me a custom box?
I wanted to make my own custom box because I want to do everything the hard way,
Yes.
right? And then we had these really cumbersome pods that would go up at the kick panel. They would take up your
yeah.
interior footwell space.
Yeah, you push the speaker when you push the clutch in.
That's right. That's right. That's what you were supposed to do. Gone are those days. Now, a big, beautiful box and a big sound bar.
Oh.
I want to touch on those, but you want to?
Yeah, I want to jump in comments because we got Jerry who is saying you guys are too young to remember that adding the $15 JC Whitney reverberator to a CJ AM radio and thinking you were on top of the world. That's awesome,
Jerry. But I know
Jerry.
that I know that I
know all
am
about reverb units.
I know. But I did live it, right? I wanted every little extra.
He's right though.
unit.
We were not living it in the same real time.
in
that
the
he
same
was.
real time that he
Yeah.
was. Fair.
But then Jeannie said you guys are young and you miss the days of Audiophile and Audio Mart for both vehicle and home sound systems.
Yes.
And then you got Daddy Jeep talking about bass tube on the fender.
Yes.
You got Charles saying the wedge box had a cup holder.
That was a
yep.
super fancy upgrade that I couldn't afford.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of historic things that we can all remember and reminisce over.
And I love that nostalgia piece. And unfortunately, every bit of that creates the perspective that we should be able to easily modify our modern day vehicles. And we can't, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is we think we can. It's one of those situations. And then you can start getting in there with a screwdriver and fumbling stuff around.
And I will say, just because we are Jeep centric, we don't see the lay of the land with other models and other makes.
Right.
Where at least we do have an easier way than, like, say, Subarus in the late 2000s. The heater controls were literally part of the head unit.
Yes.
You get rid of the head unit, and now you have no heater controls.
Yes.
So while, yes, we can go in and change our heaters with the JLJT, there are separate buttons and separate abilities. So we don't have it the worst. It can
Correct.
be.
I mean, I look at my Mini Cooper, and I can't do much of anything about
No.
the head unit system there because of its degree of integration.
Correct.
And so we are fortunate with the aftermarket support, and that's why I encourage people to make good choices when pursuing and choosing their accessories and sound system options. Now, I do want to note that the whole JT specifically, because the interior gets so much smaller than the JL, and we have that JL UR. It's got a in-floor sub and a whole bunch of things in the back. The JT, the soundbar, American soundbar that we're using, is if you are going to have large kids or adults in the back seat, your headspace is gone.
You're referring more to the DS18 soundbar. The DS18 soundbar is
In the
bulkier
JT.
In the JT. The American soundbar is a little bit lower profile. So you get a little more headspace, but it's still bulkier than your
I was going to say,
headspace.
it's still, when I sat in the back of one of those Jeeps, actually, and I sat in both of the Jeeps, the JT specifically that we're talking from.
That one's interesting because we did use the DS18 red soundbar in
J5.
J5.
But we use the American soundbar in blue.
Correct.
Yeah,
So you
and
have that slight differential, and you'll notice
It's
that
not good.
But you're looking at the box.
You're looking at the box.
regardless of which one. It's just, are you looking at 3 inches of the box, or are you looking at an inch of the box?
And that is, but that is what I want to share with the humans, right? Anybody who is listening who cares, headspace is gone by comparison to what was originally engineered into that vehicle. Additionally, going back to the big box under the seat, DS18 and others make a nice supplementary box. We've primarily used the DS18. Any of the space underneath the rear seats that was good for recovery gear or, your jack spacing and, for your jack and accessories, that's all gone as well.
Yes.
So prepare to sacrifice something for the gain of the stereo system.
Yep.
And granted, we love our accessories. We love our tactical boxes and decked units and MOLLE panels on racks and caps for Jeeps.
Yep.
And so anything can kind of be, shell game of move it from over here to over here on the Jeep.
Just need to know that you're going to lose that.
Correct.
So you know what to do.
That's exactly correct. You understand that this is not the same seamless approach. We have made some very custom amp mounts that have placed them vertically at the back of behind the seats. You want to consider airflow in this conversation. You want to consider wire routing.
And in that regard, not all JTs are equal. The way that we did it in J5
one Jeep
did not work in the way that we tried to do it with the other one.
Despite the fact that they were both 2023 Gladiators.
Yep. The way the trim is behind the seats, depending on what trim level of the vehicle it is, affected how we could install and mount those systems.
And if you have the little speaker that you could take away and put back.
Correct. That changes it too.
And so all of this is to say that kind of being fully conscientious about your build. The other piece that I kind of strongly encourage you as a summation piece regarding upgrading our latest and greatest, the JLs and JTs, is do it in a comprehensive manner.
Yep.
This is not like the olden days where you can do a little piece over here and a little piece over there. Because of the jigsaw nature, because of the high integration, the nervous system conversation, you're going to want to plan out your stereo upgrade and then proceed into it in kind of one shot.
You can do it in stages, but you're going to pay labor twice. Or 3 times, or 4 times.
It will be your labor that you're doing this, right? If you are going to be going into it.
And each time you take stuff apart that's plastic, you're risking breaking things.
That's correct.
And clips going rogue.
Stripping out screws. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity.
The manner in which the pieces are held together, again, are not like we once had, where we had metal screws affixing metal pieces with just kind of a plastic facade. Oftentimes we're plastic in the plastic with a metal clip or a coarse metal thread, a screw that is going to waller out that plastic each and every time we put it in and out.
Also, that has changed, talking about amps and you got to have power for those, is our battery connections are not what they used to be with vehicles, and the JL, JTs, and JKs are so battery sensitive. You got to be careful where you're stuffing your powers and your grounds. There's a reason why there's tons of ground studs under the vehicle, hood of the vehicle. It isn't always your best choice to go to the battery and make that direct connection bad. We've seen that a lot.
Right. And again, this is all to say that it is doable. And yet we want to encourage people to kind of be mindful of the modern technological advances.
We're not trying to scare you away from trying to do your own radio. We're trying to educate you so you understand it's not as simple as it used to be. It can still be done, but it's going to take you longer. It's more involved. And
arguably it's more expensive parts.
It's very, yes.
And it's better to know that what challenges you have to face than before you tore your Jeep apart. Now things aren't fitting correctly. Suddenly the check engine light's on. It's upset. All that is real stuff. And I would rather know myself before I've screwed up the vehicle so I can appropriately make it what I want it to have.
Yes. The last piece, and we didn't touch at all on 24s that have the absolute massive
game changer completely.
Interior panel, display
Makes
panel.
it a lot harder for anything.
Anything that's coming down the pipe has these massive, basically tablets mounted to the dash. Your latest and greatest, full-size pickup trucks all have like a 10 or a 12-inch screen in them on the higher end models. Again, in some new vehicle research that I'm doing, most recently, we're talking just within the last few months, the auto industry has changed significantly with geopolitical posturing and consumer reporting.
My parents just had to buy a new vehicle, and standing from behind, they open up the hatch, and I'm like, oh, we can watch the football game on this screen. It's a large TV in your front dash.
And one of the things that has come out through a number of consumer safety reporting that is kind of seeding into the automotive industry. And granted, I always believe we're living in a ripple effect. So we're not going to see any major changes for probably another 5 to 10 years. We're going to start to see small changes happen, but that the touch screen specific, not necessarily the display nature, but the touch screen of these big screen TVs that are being formed into vehicles has actually increased driver distraction and decreased the safety of the vehicle with occupancy.
I agree.
So long as we continue to have human-driven cars, the likelihood is we will go back to smaller screens based on current seeds that are kind of getting moving at some safety and manufacturing levels.
I have another PSA is for those that listen to us and that can change things. Please make it so that you can be going down the road and yes, I can't type in the address or what I want to search. Like I was looking for a home improvement center. That is not an option in there. I have restaurants, I have gas stations, I have all this stuff that I can press and not be distracted. So I said, please take me to Lowe's. And it said, I don't know what you're trying to say.
From your talk, you were audible.
So I'm trying to do the appropriate thing and not be distracted, not play with the screen. And you literally have to pull over, get your phone that's hooked up to with the cord, type in what I want to do on Google, which I don't understand. It's supposed to be just mirrored onto my head unit. And then it was like, oh, you want to go to Lowe's? Yes. Why is this so hard?
Well, and so one of the challenges
I hate to say it, Scott, some of it is just that you're a boomer. And
that's
you don't
true.
know how to
I'm trying to avoid that, but you said it for me.
Yeah, I'm going to say it.
One of the last pieces I was going to say, and if this is your cup of tea and it is what it is, part of the issue, not specific to our listening audience per se, but a lot of this center stack multimedia entertainment systems, right? So that's one of the terms, with this, with this TV in your dash. And again, not the Stellantis, because as we go back to the JKs, Stellantis 20 years ago figured out how to start to lock down these units with their own proprietary software.
Yep.
Not Stellantis, but some of the other ones are being able to be jailbroken, much like when Fire Sticks originally came out.
Yep.
And a degree of this jailbreak is allowing people to do things with their center stack multimedia entertainment centers that auto manufacturers never intended to be able to do.
Correct.
And so I think we're going to start to see an increased regulatory expectation out of auto manufacturers and that head unit assembly.
Correct.
And so, as I kind of crested into these major display centers, we're only going to see that more and more with the next few years because
we'll probably start hitting the regulatory wall.
Something's going to happen, I think there's going to be something to happen because, as you mentioned, that big screen TV in front of your parents' vehicle.
Oh, it's crazy. Now, I don't know what they can actually do with it, but just the screen size itself.
The screen size and the light pollution while you're driving.
Correct. Everything is integrated into that on your parents' vehicle. Well, my wife's similar.
And I recognize that. I'm just saying, I know that the jailbreak that he's talking about, you can literally watch cable TV essentially while driving down the road. And I don't know that that's the same level because I know there is some protections already to prevent that from happening.
Yes.
But what extent?
Yeah.
So as all of this is spoken, and like I said, the summation, we're not trying to dissuade anybody. We're trying to kind of, I actually think that the manufacturer has done great forward progress in giving us good sound systems with topless vehicles running down the highway or the trail in a better capacity than we've ever had.
But we all grew up with home improvements and no bigger is better.
Really, the biggest thing with this is you need to have a plan for your builds from start to finish. You need to go in and purchase the vehicle that you know you can upgrade or can't upgrade depending on what you want to do. If you're completely fine, like me, where you like the factory system, well, then the big screen doesn't matter because you're kind of happy with what you have. But then you want to make sure you have the sub and the functionality out of it from the get-go. If you want to upgrade, then maybe get the cheaper model and don't pay for that big fancy screen. Get an older model that you can go in and change stuff around. So look at the market, see what's available. call a shop, get some expert advice on what you want to do. You just can't do it willy-nilly like you used to, where I'm like, oh, I had to get oil, and look, this Dolphin radio is really cool, so I'm going to go put that in the parking lot.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore.
And again, please have an appreciation for the electrical sensitivity that these new modern vehicles do have.
Yep.
That's pretty much it.
Until
we're
next
way
time,
over.
Jeep on.
Jeep on.
Keep on.
So I kind of alluded to it, but I was driving a lot in my truck this weekend.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Trying to find a dishwasher, because ours is as we are integrating electronics into everything. I've been having my appliances fall one at a time, much to my wife's dismay. First, it was the washing machine that went down, so we had to get a new one. And as we're setting that up, we had to come up and say, "Well, what is your Wi-Fi system?" And my wife's like, "Why does my washing machine need a Wi-Fi?" I don't know, but here we are. So then the dishwasher started screwing up more and more, and I'd already been in there and tried to repair things, and you have to reset it and that kind of stuff. So we were trying to procure a new one. We were off. I had taken a couple of days off, so we were trying to get that done while we were off, because once kids are back in school, they were off for Martin Luther King's Day and that kind of stuff. So we're trying to get that stuff done, because we know we're just treading water during the week when people are in and out and got meals to make and that kind of
We're
stuff.
just average American households.
We want
100%.
the dishwasher, the wash dishes.
Yep.
What I'm doing something else, and it is not doing that right now.
Yes.
So I just wanted to go procure one, put it in the cabinet, and be done with it. You can't do that.
It's really funny because the way that you described it, and then I shared with you this morning, in our household, we literally are using our dishwasher as a drying rack right now, because I don't want to deal with buying a new dishwasher. I don't have the additional funds or ability to put on the debt right now.
Yeah, the bandwidth of having to deal with it.
Correct.
I'm just making it happen.
So it's a drying rack. We're hand washing dishes in our house at this
I
point.
literally threatened my wife, do you want to hand wash dishes? She's like, well, we have children. Do you want to deal with the whining that we will incur?
Our kids have a rule of a set number of dishes every day that they have to wash. And if they incur extra dishes for whatever reason, they will have extra to do. And it has been working for the time being.
Nice.
But I understand where you're coming from. And there is sometimes a little bit of a fight. Do I have to? Yep, you do.
Yeah.
You made the dishes. You get the help.
It might help the cup situation at my house, because my son does not understand.
I wish that helped.
Oh, it didn't
has
help.
not helped.
Oh, dear.
No, it doesn't help. They just wash more dishes. I don't care. Yeah.
But other than in driving and looking for a dishwasher, I was able to kind of I nerd out on this stuff. I'm not expecting everybody else to get as excited as I am, but putting the steering column in the Model T project, the steering shaft usually has to change length, because you're taking something from one vehicle and putting it in something
I'm going to
else.
ask you to pause. Don't lose your thought here. But I looked at your update this weekend on your socials, which I encourage everybody, if you want to know what's going on in our lives. Scott and I certainly are open to you following along on our Insta or Facebook pages. But I looked at your update, and I thought that is just one of the most Scott Brown things that just sums up the 20 years of our friendship, in the sense that I remember you obsessing over intermediate shaft steering column construction and function on some of your earliest projects. We used to sit around and benchtop build.
Yep.
And now you are living in this moment where you can do the most mundane, ridiculous, relatively unnecessary, but so incredibly clean and like how it should be done. Yeah. And I looked in at a number of our customers who, have taken us up on the follow along conversation, and friends at this point. And I thought, I really hope that I don't expect them to understand the technical nature of what you just did. I get it.
Over here,
Jack.
I'm looking and going, holy crap, Scott's going to be able to drive this in a few months.
Which is not.
I know, he's not.
Right.
But,
well, not for you. I'm saying that out to the world.
But I recognize from the outside perspective, and not having that technical minutia, just seeing how cool it is and how much progress he is realistically making in such a short amount of time.
And yet having the full appreciation as an individual from my perspective, where I am closer to the problem of sorts. So the average person looking in, it's, in my opinion, it's like a 3 or 4 out of 10. Like my mom or my dad's gonna be like, that's a really cool thing that Scott did. And I can read it and I can appreciate it. And I can see a shiny part and a not shiny part.
Yeah.
And they can get that. But from like my standpoint, that's like an 8 out of 10 cool factor. Cause I'm like, it's going to look correct.
Yep.
It's something that nobody else is doing because they're not taking the time to have that much pride in their workmanship.
Yep.
Because they race to the finish line because they just want to drive it in 3 to 4 months, like you're saying. They look in and go, well, I just need to hack it here and cut it here.
And
because
weld it and this and that. Oh,
correct.
Absolutely.
All right, now go back to your
And so I was dealt with this problem of I need to shorten this shaft, but if you cut it in the middle and weld it, you should sleeve it. That's best practice. That also helps keep everything true. But then you can't literally take the box apart, the steering box apart. So later person that you know, hopefully it's you. If you're the one that made this problem, then you should be the one that have to deal with the problem.
with the serviceability or lack of thereof.
You're cutting it off again to service it, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. Will I ever need to service again? Probably not. I don't want. I will. That would be my luck. I would have a bearing fail or something. I need to cut it apart. So I'm like,
regardless, that's just not who you are as a person, right? You're trying to set up
for success.
For success.
So I'm looking at this problem. It actually took me about 2 days to figure out how I wanted to do this, and finally, I think, in the most part, Neil will really enjoy this. I have a spare hook off the quick attach off my tractor for the 3-point system that is an inch and a half thick. And because it's a big hunk of steel, I didn't throw it away. I had it on my shop press because you need big hunk of steels on your shop press.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I bet you that hook's distance is about right. And I had a gear. I had to press off the shaft of the steering box. I'm like, holy crap, that fits perfect. So I drilled and tapped 2 holes in it. And I used my steering wheel puller with 2 long bolts and was able to then press the shaft out of the gear, which is almost impossible because it is pressed on at least 3 inches of interference fit. So it is like on there.
Yes.
And so, and to the point, it's almost impossible to get it back on. Like once I got it off, I was like, cool. Now how am I going to get this back together? But because I was able to do that, I was able to put the shaft without the gear in the mill and make a new keyway further up. Then I was able to literally cut it off so that now it's the shortness I need. I did put it in the lathe and true that up and that kind of stuff. But I actually had to turn off about 0.02 or so of shaft so I could get the gear back on because it was such an interference fit.
Yes.
They must have back in the 40s or 30s when they put this on, must have heated it up and chilled it.
They did a thermodynamic process.
But I literally put this thing in my chuck. So we, again, have 1 inch to 2 inches, well, actually probably more than that, 2 to 3 inches of engagement with 3 jaws. And I could not get the gear back on with just mechanical advantage.
Yeah. And I had to laugh when I was looking at your update, and you know, our intro to this particular program is one of the things from years ago before you had an actual lathe and some of this equipment.
Yeah.
And you say you use your drill press as a sort of mill, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at your absolutely, completely cattywampus sketch utilization of a steering wheel puller.
Yep.
And I also, again, the picture doesn't do it justice for the rest of the world to understand that was not an ideal situation.
Well, you can't tell. I actually made an adapter to go in the shaft to make it more ideal.
Okay.
But yes, it was not perfect.
Yes, and I thought good for you. Still doing
jank
hillbilly jank stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a little nicer.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That was I thought that was a great update, and I was hoping you would share with us.
Yep.
Excellent. My own experience, I was a very family and household centric weekend. Again, trying to just control the uncontrollables and the chaotic, time blind Simpson household over and above everything we do conversation. Saturday was almost wholly and entirely dedicated to my son and his wrestling pursuits. don't need to go into too much detail there, but had a great day with that. I did test drive a customer's Jeep in that capacity, and I have actually never, ever in my whole entire life had a death wobble situation like that particular Jeep, which I'll be unpacking for, I don't know, a really long time.
So this one really tried to kill you.
This one is proving to be super extra.
Ooh.
Super extra, super special. And yet probably the greatest frustration is that everything under the Jeep is perfect.
Yeah.
Well, it's replaced even.
Yep.
So we got to get back in the 80s and get like triple, quadruple shocks.
I am here for it at this point, right? So outside of that, I spent a good bit of time with some death wobble diagnostic over the weekend in conjunction with this wrestling tournament. Now, in the same time, my wife, who, she is such an interesting soul, took it upon herself to get the weather forecast alert.
Yep.
That impending doom was coming to northeastern Ohio.
I don't recall ever getting this kind of alert.
So
the way that it came across and how many...
I don't either. And it came up and I was in the store and I was like, is this where I want to die? This sounds bad.
I literally was like, how bad is it going to be that they're doing this? Because this is not usual. It's sunny outside. There is nothing going on.
Yes.
And honestly, I feel like it was a big oversell myself. I saw a little
hands
bit of
up. Neil's hands up.
with a little bit of wind, some snow, and it was over. I was like, we got this kind of notified.
So my
for
wife
that.
is by herself, right? My daughter is at dance practice. My son is with me at a tournament. My wife is by herself in this moment. You could hunker down at your house. You
Yeah.
could feel like, hey, I'm glad that I'm toasty warm in this
Right,
X,
right.
Y, and Z
I have
situation.
food. I have a heat source.
Right, if the power goes out, whatever.
Jen probably decided I need to go drive somewhere. Now.
I am going to get in my big built Jeep, my 4x4, and I'm going to drive to the beach so that the peak of the squall
That's actually kind of fun.
can hit me.
Yeah, I have no
I
obstruction.
am going to the storm, I'm
going to stare it in the face.
I'm going to stare.
I want to stare at the eye of the storm.
That's right. That's what she did.
I think that's super fun.
And she went down there and she was by herself as she watched this squall come across the lake.
And she got out of the Jeep, didn't she?
Oh, she put the window down and she's taking pictures of the storm.
The
and
storm was
video
in the Jeep. I
was
got it.
in the Jeep.
I got it.
And she's like sharing them back to my family and obviously me at that time.
And I think the urgency of the message wasn't necessarily about how severe and how long it would last, but more about how fast it was coming in.
And
there
it
you
did
go.
happen fast.
And it was literally there was nothing. We actually had a customer walk in the door and it was sunny, and he got from the front door to the front counter and snow was blowing in under the door at us.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, that came in quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head that it went from lights on to lights off with white out snow conditions and some blowing winds within seconds.
Right.
You know?
And I think that was more why it got so prioritized. I don't think it was necessarily about the exact severity, but how fast it changed.
And it could have been worse. It's hard to say with weather, the way it can change so fast.
Right.
I love, and I know that we talk about a lot of our customers and their therapeutic experiences with their Jeep and kind of how that Jeep becomes an extension of ourselves. And my wife's emboldened nature with her,
I love it.
Her built Jeep. I'm going down to the beach and gonna face this storm eye to eye, head on.
Oh dear.
What a funny Jeep moment, if you will.
Yeah.
So
And just to leave people on a teaser, there are big things happening in my life that may or may not come to light. There is a acquisition of sorts that may be happening, and it is a business endeavor that could drastically change my life and how things operate here, because it would change a lot. I am not able to discuss those details right now. If it goes through, I'll have a really big announcement. If it doesn't go through, it'll be, hey, Nothing
Life
happened.
as usual.
Life as usual. So my weekend was spent very heavily vested in that, but I still wanted to make sure I prioritize family time, and we did sit down and do a movie night with the kids, and we watched Bad Guys 2, which was actually a pretty good movie. I have to say, I like that.
There's a lot of good, family-oriented movies out there right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we do have a lot of Jeeps to get to, and we are officially over our time. I should mention today is MLK Junior Day, and in the past I've gone on a big tirade, and we've actually had some geared conversation towards it. I think that the biggest thing by today's standards is kind of understanding that there are things out there greater than ourselves. And I hope that you find that moment to recognize that in your own life. And I wish you an inspiring MLK Junior Day. Until next time, Jeep on.
Jeep on.
Jeep on.